Hey, it's me, Brian, with TeachSelfAwareness.com. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 simple things I've come to know which have revolutionized my very life. So, what am I talking about? Well, 3 things that have really made a difference, changed my life for the better. They're simple ideas, and they're ideas that you can adopt or at least make sense of too. And I think that they'll have a positive impact on your existence and your day-to-day operations in the world. So the first thing that I would say is that I have a self, but I am not myself. This is an identity thing. Look, I have a self called Brian, but I'm not him. I am consciousness or awareness. Okay, look, I decided to adopt awareness as my identity, consciousness as my identity. And when I did that, it made sense for me as to why there is this presence within me looking out through my eyes at the things in the world and at my physical body and at my memories, my history, everything that's happened to me up to this point. So it made sense. It filled in that missing link to who and what I really am, right? As consciousness, as an observer, as an awareness. And another thing that did for me when I decided that I have a self, but that I'm not myself, that I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my past, I'm not my body, I'm not these things. I'm not what I have or don't have. My identity exists beyond that. As consciousness, as awareness, as an energy, as an imagination station, right? And so see how this simple idea has set me free from the limitations of the world, of myself, right? So redefining my identity as consciousness or as awareness is that first idea that I'm sharing with you that has revolutionized my existence. So the second thing that I might say, would be imagination. Imagination, yeah. So because I have decided that I am a consciousness, I realize now that imagination is really the arms and legs of consciousness. It's really the living mechanism that consciousness uses to operate. So in the same way that my physical self uses my hands, to maybe pick up a pen and write something down, my consciousness will use imagination to dig into my memories, to dig into what I already know or what I've already identified and labeled in the world. It'll take those objects and it'll reassemble them in a new way. That's what my imagination can do. It'll assemble them in a new and different way. And when I create something new up here in imagination, then I start to experience the world in a different way. So by changing the way that I think about things or that I imagine things, it changes the way that the things in the world appear to me. And I can make different uses of them. So what? Like an example of this, what? I was on a run this morning, and while I was doing my run, it was a 7-mile run today. I'm training for a marathon. And as I was running, I was in my imagination, and I was imagining a pendulum swinging side to side. So as I was running and imagining holding this idea of the pendulum in my mind, in my imagination, in my consciousness, I assembled a pendulum out of the earth, and my body was the string of the pendulum. And I could feel as though I was running and swaying side to side on the earth. Now, I could feel the strong pull, the power that the earth must be using if it was going to be swinging on a pendulum, this huge, massive planet whooshing side to side, yet spinning and going forward. So look, I was using my consciousness, my imagination, where anything is possible. And I was assembling the things I already know, like the world, what the earth looks like, what pendulums are, what the pendulum motion looks like. I was assembling all that, and then I was adding my body into it. So I was creating a new way of looking at my current experience while I was running. And what happened, right? I was able to tap a deep, deep well of energy, of that gravitational pull that you would have, that you can imagine you would have if the earth was, if you were standing on, if you were the string and the earth was swinging back and forth attached to you. You can imagine all of that you would feel, all that power you'd feel in that sway. So I used that on my run. And it basically swung me forward and outward, and it kept me centered on the string as I ran. It was like I wasn't even running, So look, what am I saying to you? What I'm trying to tell you is that we can live more. I'm living more in my consciousness and my imagination, and I'm mixing my imagination with the things I already know in the world of myself, so that I have a better quality experience, a renewed experience in the present. And what's another thing that I do? Okay, so the third thing that I'd say that I do, this idea that is revolutionize my existence, is because, and it's built off of the other two, because I have a self, but I'm not myself, I'm an awareness or a consciousness, and because in consciousness, imagination is my arms and legs and my building tool to get things done. Because of that, I'm able to now imagine stuff like energy. I can imagine energy, right? I can consciously contact the idea of energy, and I can cast it out, or I can pull it in. Anytime, anywhere, from anything. So look, this new identity as consciousness sets the imagination on fire, and it changes the whole shape of the world around me. So things aren't always what they appear to be. Things can be anything I decide that they will be. And then I can make use of the energetic or emotional experience that I'll have with them, right? For example, right? If I go ahead right now and I look up into the sky and, I see the things that are there in real life, in the material world, like there's a tree, and behind the tree is, the blue sky, and, well, there's no clouds in it. But then if I superimpose something on that scene with my imagination, like a huge, huge planet that's moving closer to our planet. And I can see it. It's like another Earth, let's say. And there it is, just not even that far away, closer than the moon, so big that it takes up like 1/5 of the sky in front of me, right? And it's cool to be looking at that. Like, how does it feel to be witnessing this scene that I'm staring at in my imagination plus physical world combined, right? I've got this flow of power, this excitement, this adventure, this awe, this wonder. So look, I'm capturing all that, I'm experiencing all that by uniting my imagination with reality. And I can do that so easily because I have a self, but I'm not myself. I'm consciousness. And consciousness uses imagination. It's an imagination station to combine the real world with the imaginary world. And those two create the flow of new emotional power, new emotional experiences. And just connecting with big energy, big emotional energy like that, it raises up that internal vibration. It just sort of positions me to be able to feel good, and it charges me up to be able to deal with the other little ups and downs of the day-to-day life, of the mundane, or of tasks that aren't really as interesting, right? But it also, that big energy, it clears out my consciousness, or it charges up my consciousness so that I'm able to see cool things happen in the little mundane day-to-day tasks. So my experiences they're just brighter. They're brighter and more meaningful. The little things in life take on a new color and flavor, right? So it's just good. And at the end of the day, all the stuff I imagine, it goes right into my memory anyway. Just like whatever I had for breakfast this morning is just sitting in my memory. It's not real anymore, right? So what's really the difference right now between the eggs and the toast that I had for breakfast? I can see that in my memory. Or the scene of me looking up into the sky and seeing another Earth rotating pretty close to this one, right? No difference. My memory, our memory, does not discriminate whether things are real or imagined. So there you have it. There's 3 things that have revolutionized my life. Hope you can make use of them too. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your life. Enjoy getting out of yourself, living as your consciousness, and using your imagination to renew your mind. Enjoy your awareness.